The House will come to order. Prayer by the chaplain.
With God's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the praise belongs to God, the Lord, the cherisher of the worlds, most gracious, most compassionate, sole judge in the day of judgment. You alone do we serve, and you alone do we seek assistance. Guide us all upon the way that is straight, the way that earns your favor, not incurs wrath, nor let us be among those who are astray. O Creator of everything in the skies and the earth, bless this honorable body. Give them the strength and the wisdom to face the many challenges ahead. Grant them insights and discernment as they make decisions on behalf of each citizen of the great state of Minnesota. May you grant them the spirit of cooperation and goodwill in the coming days. You are the infinitely able, the most merciful. Amen.
The chaplain for today is Imam Makram El-Amin from Masjid An-Nar, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing and recite the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. The clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. A quorum is present. Members, please take your conversations off of the House floor into the alcoves or the retiring room. The clerk will read the journal of the preceding day.
Journal of the House, 91st Session, 2019, 31st day, St. Paul, Minnesota, Wednesday, April 3rd, 2019.
If there is no objection, further reading of the journal will be dispensed with, and the journal will be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Hearing no objection, the journal is approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. Reports of standing committees and divisions. A copy of this order of business has been placed on each member's desk. If there is no objection, the reports will be adopted. Hearing no objection, the reports are adopted. Okay, so does it go with... Just so you know. Got it. Okay. Introduction of bills. The following House files have been offered for introduction today. The Chief Clerk will report the House files and give them their first reading.
Introduction of first reading of House Files 2810 through 2820.
First reading, House Files 2810 through 2820.
Pursuant to Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of the State of Minnesota, Fabian moves that the rule therein be suspended and an urgency be declared, and that the rules of the House be so far suspended so that House File number 2815 be given its second and third readings and be placed upon its final passage.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian, to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is my motion. Members, this is an issue that's really important in my part of the state, and I think actually it has great value for the entire state of Minnesota. This is the bill that would prevent the Department of Commerce from spending money that's been appropriated to them on the lawsuit against the Public Utilities Commission on the Line 3 replacement. So, members, this is when I talk to county commissioners back in my district, this is an amazingly important project up there. I had a call yesterday morning from a commissioner in Pennington County, and he forwarded to me some data put together by the auditor in Pennington County. And understand that in Pennington County, the Enbridge footprint is only about 15 total linear miles, but the revenue to the county from Enbridge for Pennington County is about a little over $1.4 million. The school district there in Thief River Falls, about $928,000. Revenue to the state, you know, the state of Minnesota gets property tax revenue from Enbridge and other businesses. The revenue to the state currently in Pennington County is $880,000. Our local airport in Thief River Falls gets revenue from there. It's about $33,000. Townships, and those of you that live in rural Minnesota know that townships are hard-pressed for dollars. Some of the townships in Pennington County get as high as $28,000 in property tax revenue. The city of Thief River Falls, it's about $5,000 in property tax revenue. So my motion, members, is to get this bill voted on and hopefully get it moving through our processes here. I know that there are other people who are interested in this topic, and I'd like to ask Representative Swedzinski to yield, please. Representative Swedzinski, you've talked to me in the past about the impact of trains carrying oil coming through the state of Minnesota. Can you tell me more about your concerns there, please?
The member from Lyon, Representative Swedzinski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, yes, Representative Fabian, you know, that's an issue that we've all heard a lot about. You know, I spent some time in my life living really close to the railroad tracks and not always the best part of town. And, we hear that from folks around the state that are exceptionally concerned about accidents and rail lines. And these rail trains run in towns. That's the reason why the town is there to begin with, is because that's where the railroad line was. And the idea that we're going to take this project off the table, essentially, this has delayed it again to 2020 potentially. The oil is coming, folks, and it's where we want it to travel. Do we want it to travel through our downtowns, through our neighborhoods, sometimes our poor neighborhoods in Minneapolis and St. Paul, across our state, our little towns, where this potentially can have hazardous ramifications, or do we want it in the most efficient transportation cycle as possible through our pipelines? And I support this measure. I think it makes a lot of common sense to move this forward. It's estimated that the increased shipping is going to be up almost 370,000 barrels a day out of Western Canada. Will be delayed to the second half of 2020. We're looking at, this is jobs, this is opportunity, but most importantly, we need to be thinking about, what's the best thing for Minnesota, and that is moving this in rural areas across our state in pipelines. And I'd like to yield back to Representative Fabian.
Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I listened to Governor Walz last night talk about things in his State of the State address, and I applaud him for some of the things that he said. And one of the things that stuck with me, and I actually wrote it down, was he was talking to, I think, particularly freshman members, and he talked about, where do ideas from bills come from? Where do the things that matter to us come from? And if I remember correctly, and I hope I wrote it down correctly, most of the things that we deal with are not something that I quote, dreamed up. He said things that come from our constituents really are important. And I can tell you with all sincerity that this is not an issue that I've dreamed up. This is an issue that has come to me from my constituents. And I know that this is incredibly important to many of your constituents all across the state of Minnesota, not just the 13 counties that have the Enbridge footprint, but to the entire state in terms of revenue. And I know that it's really important in terms of jobs, and I know Representative Grossel has a major Enbridge terminal right there in Clearbrook. Next time all of you are on your way up to Roseau, you may drive right through Clearbrook, Representative Hornstein. There you go. And Governor Walz last night also talked about, he said, how do we, and I wrote this down too, how do we keep businesses? And he also said, how do we help a community prosper? He talked about community prosperity. Well, in a place like Clearbrook, there's not a lot of opportunities for prosperity, and Enbridge provides for them something that in Clearwater County would be impossible to replace. And by putting Line 3 in the ground and getting this process moving more quickly, we can get those tax dollars flowing out to our townships and counties and cities along the path. So Representative Grossel, can you maybe talk a little bit about what's going on in Clearbrook and the value of the Enbridge Line 3 replacement?
The member from Clearwater, Representative Grossel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Fabian. Just a little bit about Clearbrook and what the pipeline, what the trades, everything means to my area, to my hometown, is several millions of dollars in contracts. One business, and I'll just tell you a little bit about one business there that when Sandpiper Pipeline was shut down, was prevented from coming through the state, one business in my hometown lost $26 million in contracts. $26 million in contracts. That would affect a whole bunch of people over a vast area. The people that lost that chance at that income were the trades, were union workers. Union workers that I support, and union workers that support me. in the efforts to get this work going. My district has 49ers, has the electricians, has the carpenters, has the laborers, pipeliners, and their families. So the money that would have come there didn't. But now line 3, we have another opportunity to treat our tradespeople right. Let them go to work. Let them spend a couple of years, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, working close to home where they can be with their families, where they can bring their paychecks and cash them and use them at the local grocery stores, the restaurants, the drinking establishments, wherever they want to, the hardware stores. Keep the money in Minnesota instead of forcing them to go elsewhere to work, out of state, where they only get home periodically. It's important to my area, not just the city of Clearbrook, but to the whole region, Clearwater County, Beltrami County, Hubbard County. So I got a lot of pipeline coming through my district. And we've got the station right there, one of the main pumping stations right there in Clearbrook. And it helps, the pumping station there in Enbridge is very generous to the city. They've donated used vehicles to the city for work so that it saves the city from having to come to us for resources. It gives the police department $1,000 a year in donations. Gives the fire department donations for equipment. Because fire departments, Enbridge depends on our fire department to be the first on the scene in case there's anything that happens. They also depend on our local law enforcement to be first on the scene if something happens. We're also awarded a grant for dam restoration in a nice little creek that runs right through the city, where people come to stay in the parks and visit. So there's a lot of benefit to just one little town along that whole route. But like I said, it doesn't just benefit that little town, it benefits cities, towns, counties, all along the route. Line 3 replacement will give the state or these 13 counties $19 million over what current revenue is. $19 million more dollars going to 13 counties across that route. Not to mention the almost $3 billion in private investment that is going to come in. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk about protesting this and that and about how awful that oil is that's coming through there, you know. I'll tell you a little story about a brand new line that came through about 2009, I believe it was. And I was still working as a deputy sheriff up in the area. Line 67. Line 67 was a brand new line that came through, and there was very little to no protest of that line. Now, line 3 needs to be replaced. It's an antiquated line. It needs to be replaced to protect the integrity of the line, to protect the environment right on through. Now, if anybody thinks that I am not a supporter or protector of the environment, they better think again. Because I live up there. My family is there. There are many families there. And I have worked in that area since 2002 to protect those people. So to think that I'm not going to, I'm going to allow something to come through or fight for something to come through that's going to be damaging to the environment, come on. To me, you know, I look at the big picture, I look at the history, I look at all the benefits that pipeline has brought to the area, and it hasn't brought anything bad. That's brought prosperity to the area. That's brought job opportunities to the area. I know a lot of people say, oh, these are short-term jobs. Well, these are contract jobs, folks. These are contract jobs. And these workers, they depend on these separate contracts. They roll off of one contract. When that part of the job is finished, they may stay right in that same spot, but another part of that contract or another contract will start up right there. They continue that contract work. And like I said, one small business who does a lot of concrete work, probably laid the concrete for a lot of the hockey rinks in northern Minnesota. They had the opportunity to recoup some of those losses from the sandpiper loss, where they're going to approximately make $20 million in contracts. So these are just a few of the things that this Line 3 project is going to do for my district. And it's all the way across that the people are going to reap the benefits from it. And I give it back to Representative Fabian. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just a couple of more points that I want to make, and I know that one of the things that we all share, I spent 35 years in the public classroom. Education funding is important to all of us. I said in my comments earlier that the schools there in Pennington County, $928,000 per year. I know that Minority Leader Dowd has worked very hard on education funding over the years. So I'd like to yield to Representative Dowd, Minority Leader Dowd, with regards to education funding.
Representative Fabian. You can ask Representative Dowd if he will yield, but I will remind members that it's the Speaker who recognizes members to speak, and members don't control the floor, the Speaker does. He will yield. The member from Isanti, Representative Dowd. You're asking him to yield?
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
He's agreed to yield.
He has.
He's
Okay.
recognized.
He knows the question. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
All right, thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Fabian. I think Minnesotans understand, the Public Utilities Commission, which was completely, I think, now appointed by a Democrat governor, Governor Dayton, has unanimously thrown out the current governor's objections to Line 3. I think folks are ready for this to move forward. I was particularly struck last night as the governor talked about the little town of Floodwood and the challenges that they have in their school district. And it seems that we want to always jump right to, we have to increase taxes to take care of this problem. It turns out with just a very little bit of research that Line 3 actually will go through the community of Floodwood. And a great way for us to increase the property tax revenue to that school district would be for the governor to lift his objection to Line 3 and let that proceed. Let's not spend money. I thank Representative Fabian for bringing this bill forward. Let's not spend money, state tax dollars, having one agency of our state sue another one to try to stop something that seems so obvious and common sense. And actually, in this case, I thought of the stories that the governor told last night in his State of the State speech. This pipeline will actually solve the problem for the community of Floodwood and for their school. They'll see a great uptick in the revenue to that school district in increased property tax revenue, and they won't need to raise taxes in their community to take care of their needs. This is something that we forget to look at the extra benefits that come from this. We already know that this pipeline is going to be the safest way to transport oil. We know that it's going to be a $3 billion private investment in northern Minnesota. We know that that's like building 3 Viking stadiums in northern Minnesota. Private investment, no tax dollars. Remember, we thought the Viking Stadium was such a good idea that, or many of you did, that we actually paid for half of it. This is 3 times that total investment in northern Minnesota in private jobs. And we know that it's going to create 5,000 union jobs in northern Minnesota. It's time to let this move forward. But that property tax revenue to the little town of Floodwood to help their school district is a great way to solve their problem. So thank you for bringing this bill, Representative Fabian.
Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I had the 49ers in my office yesterday, and we talked, or maybe it was the day before, I've lost track. They were telling me how important this was to them. I've also talked to the 798 union guys and how important this is to them. Excuse me, one of my former students actually works for them. But Madam Speaker, if Representative Lewick would yield to a question.
He will yield. Representative Fabian.
Representative Lewick, I know that the 49ers were in your office in the last couple of days as well. Can you share with us your conversations with them?
Representative Lewick, please
thank
first
you.
tell us how you pronounce your county.
Aiken. Rhymes with bacon. Thank you, Madam Speaker and Representative Fabian. Yes, in fact, I had 3 of the local 49ers from my area in the office. In fact, yesterday, and we had a good opportunity to discuss what's going on in our area. And boy, did they have a lot of questions on what's going on with Line 3. And so you can paint the picture here. All 3 of these individuals are directly involved in doing that type of work. There's a broad type of work that the 49ers do, and these are folks that operate equipment and work for companies that do pipelines. One of the questions they had was, well, why is the state government fighting this? And I said, well, actually, a portion is. DNR and MPCE are trying to permit this. The Department of Commerce is obviously doing their own thing with the blessing of the governor. I said, I can't solve that. They really had some good news, though. Here's something that they were just proud as the dickens about. They said, did you know that the Fond du Lac tribal government has decided that they're going to work out with Enbridge to replace a piece of Line 4 right alongside Line 3. Do you know what that means to us? That's a whole bunch more time we're going to get to spend close to home working on a pipeline when we get to it. The problem there is we need to get to it because, these folks, if they're not working on a pipeline, they may not be working. And in the case of the 3, 2 were at this point laid off, waiting to go back to work. So again, there's a human side to this. There's a real human side where I live. We got a great number of people that work a variety of construction jobs, and you know what? All the work isn't close to home. So, I mean, they were so proud and so happy that over in Carleton County, the Fond du Lac Band now has agreed to actually provide more work for that group of workers. So again, this is really important. I thank Representative Fabian for bringing this forward. We really need to support this.
Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'll wrap up, members. And while I'm wrapping up, Madam Speaker, I'd ask for a roll call on my motion.
Representative Fabian requests a roll call. Seeing 15 hands, there will be a roll call.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just in wrapping up, members, this is $19 million of new property tax revenue to all these different entities. It's all kinds of jobs. It's all kinds of economic stimulus for communities all along the line. And I would ask, I got one more quote from Governor Walz last night, and he said, let's write a new script. Members, let's write a new script. Let's try to send some messages to end the delays on this project, and let's vote green on this, and I look forward to your support. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, just so we are clear, we are on a motion to suspend the rules, declare an urgency, and immediately pass a bill. I think, unfortunately, the member from Roseau has the wrong urgency, the wrong emergency, and the wrong bill. The rest of the story about Enbridge and pipelines and property taxes is that Enbridge is currently appealing their property tax assessment. They're challenging it in court. They brought 62 cases to try to relieve themselves of $45 million in property tax payments to local counties, local cities, and local school districts. The effect on local counties would be particularly stark in Clearwater and Red, where they could end up refunding more money in these cases than they annually raise. Carleton County, which was just mentioned here on the floor, would end up losing 25% of its property tax base if this bill were to, if Enbridge's appeal and suit were to be successful. So northern Minnesota counties, northern Minnesota property taxpayers, northern Minnesota school districts and cities are all hanging in the balance of a case brought by this very company. The legislature could take steps to correct it, but members, I would urge you to find another bill to work on, and one that will save counties from the very same pipeline destroying their property tax base. So members, I would ask you to vote red. And finally, one other point, I guess. This is a motion to suspend the rules and take up a bill that would deny the Department of Commerce from challenging a decision of the PUC. Everyone should understand that. That process is underway. The appeal is underway. The approval process is underway. The legislative process is underway. And if you wish to move this project forward, there are opportunities to amend bills in committee. There is an opportunity to amend bills on the floor. But taking a motion to suspend the rules and pass something immediately is not a very good way to do that. So members, I would ask you to vote red.
The member from Wabasha, Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I need to correct the record. The Majority Leader talked about the lawsuits going on with the utilities in northern Minnesota. Not because, Mr. Majority Leader, because they're big bad utilities. That's not the case. What we have is a government that's inept. The Department of Revenue has failed in its function to properly appraise these utilities, and that's what we have going on in court right now. As a matter of fact, members, in one of the instances, the district court ruled that the appraisal on the equipment in the pipeline should be higher than the amount that the utility brought forward in their appraisal. So that's what we have going on here, members. It's not anything wrong that Enbridge or any other utility did. The reason for the problem with the appraisals right now is because our state Department of Revenue is the only Department of Revenue in the country that I know of that has this problem. They have a problem doing their job of properly appraising these utilities, and that's what we have in front of us. So I just thought, Madam Speaker, I'd correct the record. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, members.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hertaus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise also just as a point that the Majority Leader made. Representative Winkler, I've served now 7 years on the Property Tax Committee, and the issue really with regard to the state appraisals is that we have a line that is basically ready for replacement. It's served its useful life. And in that manner, the asset has been depreciated or going down in value every year because of its condition. That is the basis behind why there is an appeal from the state appraised property tax system. Now, I would remind you that if the line were built, then you have a new basis. You have a cost basis, which is clearly known and understood, and then it would be entitled to its full assessed value. So, Madam Speaker, I just wanted to make that clear with regard to some of the statements that have been made. Thank you.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Loeffler.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I think we need to get the record set straight in that, yes, there has been legal challenges to assess values established by the State Department of Revenue on behalf of our local taxing authorities. And that was challenged in the Minnesota Tax Court. And that was appealed to the Minnesota Supreme Court, which ruled just a few weeks ago that the tax court erred in saying that it was exempt from Rule 8100, the legal authority and direction on how to assess the assessed value of these properties. And so the Supreme Court said, no, the tax court has erred and has remanded it back to the tax court to recalculate its value using Rule 8100, which guides the assessment of these properties. So it is not accurate that our Department of Revenue has been found to not be doing its job, but it continues to be a legal issue that is in the hands of the tax court again.
Seeing no further debate, the clerk will take the roll. The clerk will close the roll. There being 56 ayes and 74 nays, the motion does not prevail.
House File Number 2815 is being referred to the Committee on Commerce.
Messages from the Senate.
Message from the Senate, Madam Speaker. I hereby announce the passage by the Senate of the following Senate files herewith transmitted. Senate file numbers 277, 278, and 1257.
First reading of Senate files.
First reading of Senate file number 277, an act relating to health care. The bill is being referred to the Committee on Commerce. First reading Senate file number 278, an act relating to health care. The bill is being referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. First reading Senate file number 1257, an act relating to health care. The bill is being referred to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Division.
Report from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration.
Winkler from the Committee on Rules and Legislative Administration, pursuant to Rules 1.21 and 3.33, designates the following bills to be placed on the calendar for the day for Monday, April 8th, 2019, and establishes a pre-filing requirement for amendments offered to the following bills. Senate file number 1339 and House file numbers 637, 1883, 1960, 2184, 622, 2225, 1188, 2181, 1983, 990, and 1840.
Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 131. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate file number 131, number 1 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health care.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, the author of the bill, Representative Elkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move the passage of this bill. This is very straightforward. It's a healthcare transparency bill. All it really says is that if you're going to have a procedure that is performed in an outpatient facility and that facility charges a separate fee to cover its operating costs and administrative costs, that they have to disclose that fee to you in advance to give you an opportunity, if you wish, to take your business elsewhere, because in many cases these fees are not covered by your health care insurance.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate file number 131.
Third reading. Further discussion. Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is Senate File 584. The clerk will report the bill.
Senate file number 584, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to health licensing.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, the author, Representative Morrison, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, House File 636 and now Senate File 584 is a bill brought on behalf of the Board of Medical Practice and was in the omnibus bill last year. The board regulates more than 30,000 healthcare professionals, including physicians and 7 allied health professions, all of which are subject to annual renewal of the credential issued by the board. Physicians renew on a birth month renewal cycle, while allied professions are subject to a standard renewal deadline. All but one of those professions are subject to a June 30th renewal deadline. The June 30th renewal deadline falls within the peak application processing periods for initial licensure and for medical residency training permits for programs beginning on July 1st. Conversion to a birth month renewal cycle increases efficiencies by alleviating bottlenecks during peak processing periods. So Senate File 584 basically does 3 things. First, it establishes this birth month renewal cycle for allied professions that distributes the volume of renewal applications and incoming fees across the full calendar year. Second, the bill makes technical changes to move established fees out of the Minnesota rules and to codify fees in the individual practice acts for allied professions. No new fees are established, no additional budget appropriations are required, assuring no fiscal impact. Finally, the bill makes a technical change to add genetic counselors to the allied professions over which the Board of Medical Practice has regulatory authority. The legislature established licensure for genetic counselors under the jurisdiction of the board during the 2016 legislative session, but genetic counselors were not included in Minnesota statute, so Senate File 584 makes this technical change to add genetic counselors to the allied health professions under the authority of the Board of Medical Practice. Sorry if I shared more than you wanted to hear about this bill. I urge your support.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, Senate File number 584.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. Seeing none, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 1997. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 1997, number 3 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to local government, the first engrossment.
I recognize the member from Hennepin in the city of Brooklyn Park, the author of the bill, Representative Michael Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, or Madam Speaker. And members, this is just a simple bill. It's just moving an expiration date or a sunset date. In 2016, the legislature gave Hennepin County the authority to use what is known as job order contracting for its own procurement processes, for project delivery for smaller projects. The intent of the legislation was to improve efficiency, streamline the process, and engage more small and locally owned businesses, including veteran-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and minority-owned businesses, to do the work in Hennepin County. Under this program, the process by which the county hires contractors was streamlined by having a list of qualified vendors the county can turn to for construction projects under $250,000. For these select small projects, the county does direct bids to the companies on the qualified contractor registry. To date, the program has been successful and is working as designed to get more these small businesses and get them to contract with the city. And if members are interested, the county has the most recent report to the legislature on the job order and contracting and the list of qualified vendors that the contractor has developed. During negotiations on the original legislation in 2016, one of the contractor associations had some concerns and several conditions, concerns about how the program would be implemented, and to address these, several conditions and benchmarks were added to the bill. Two of these were the 3-year sunset and an authorization to use contracting and a report to the legislature. The county's authority to use the job order contracting would expire at the end of the year without this bill. Hennepin County had originally proposed to eliminate the sunset in the bill as I introduced it. However, the associated builders and contractors raised some concerns with that approach and indicated they would like to have continued review of this program, so we just moved the sunset back 5 years. So House File 1997 and Senate File 2202 simply extend the contractor's authority for another 5 years. And that's the bill, members.
There are no amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 1997.
Third reading. Discussion to the bill. The member from Wright, Representative McDonald.
Madam Speaker, thank you. Senate File 1997 was a good number. I was engaged in that year, so I particularly was pleased to hear that number. But I'm concerned as to why this bill didn't come to see the Local Government Reform Committee that I am the lead on, since Representative Nelson said it's a simple bill to streamline local government. Very curious as to why it wouldn't come to that committee. that many of us are assigned to. So would Representative Nelson yield for a question?
He will yield. Representative McDonald.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. And it's House File 1997, but anyway, quibble over the Senate file, House file. I don't know why it didn't go there. I put the bill in. The bill was referred to the Government Operations Committee. It was heard in Government Operations. I don't know why it wasn't referred down farther, but it's a county bill. It's not a local. It's not a city bill.
Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. But don't feel bad, Representative Nelson. I didn't think you'd know the answer, but I bet that there's another member here, my good friend, Representative Mason. Would you yield for a question?
She will yield. Representative McDonald, did you want to state your question for her?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Mason, you run a really tight ship on the Local Government Reform Committee, and we certainly enjoy the meetings and the committee hearings. And this is such a simple bill to streamline government. We're all excited to be on that committee. As to why, do you know why this wouldn't come to your committee?
The member from Dakota, Representative Mason.
Thank you, Representative. And I'm afraid I really can't give you a good answer to that.
Representative McDonald.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Well, as Ronald Reagan would say, well, there you go again. Yet another bill that didn't come before the Local Government Reform Committee. Not sure why we have subcommittees if a good bill that streamlines local government in such a simple manner, Representative Nelson, doesn't come to the committee. It baffles me. With that, I'll be voting yes.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Freiberg.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to point out there is no rule stating that a subcommittee needs to hear every bill arguably within its jurisdiction. This is a small bill dealing with one county. I'm a little confused by the constant questioning along this from some members of the GOP. We referred some bills there recently to the local government subcommittee. We had a good hearing about it. Unfortunately, none of the GOP members showed up to discuss it. So I think we can refer bills there, but it would certainly be helpful, I think. I serve on that committee. Chair Mason does a great job. It would certainly be helpful, I think, to have some GOP members there.
The member from Dakota, Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Freiberg, we've talked about this issue a few times here, and just quick looking at the minutes of the meeting that were posted, could you tell, if you would yield for a question, would you let me know which meeting that was?
He will yield. Representative Freiberg.
It was on Wednesday, a week or two ago. I don't remember the exact date. I'm sorry, I don't have a perfect memory for dates.
Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Freiberg, if you don't know which Wednesday meeting this was, maybe that's part of the reason we didn't know which Wednesday it was either. But members, you know, I understand scheduling, and it was a special meeting that I remember was not in our consistent time that was scheduled. However, I had a constituent in my office, and I was there on approximate house time, about 5 or 6 minutes behind, and the meeting was adjourned before we got there. So that's why we weren't at that meeting, Representative Freiberg. But to Representative Nelson, I appreciate the bill, and I think we could do better at least hearing the bills every once in a while. Thank you.
The member from Sherburne, Representative Zerwas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And I think the challenge here is this shows a pretty constant problem that we've had throughout the session with the Government Operations Committee. And the reality is the majority set up a committee structure that involves so many committees, it's almost unworkable for the bills to work their way through this committee structure. And we had multiple instances of bills that not only dealt with local government, but oftentimes had local government directly in the title of the bill that never was referred to the local government subcommittee. And so I think what has occurred in this process. We had several bills that were tabled. We had several meetings that were recessed because during this process, when the bills don't go through the proper path, they don't get the proper vetting. And so, yes, throughout the session in the Government Operations Committee, 7 bills were unceremoniously disposed of in the Government Operations Committee. And that is because in many of those instances, those bills did not follow the process. And oftentimes, well, and every time, when the bill was laid on the table or was moved to be re-referred back to a committee, it was done on a bipartisan measure because even the Democrat members of that committee realized that the majority was refusing to follow their own rules. And so, yes, in one instance, in a special meeting, after the subcommittee had been told there would be no more meetings, Republicans were unable to attend because of prior scheduling conflicts. But the reality is, members, this issue was brought to us because the majority refused to follow their process. Now, Chair Freiberg and I had a wonderful working relationship through the committee, and I highly commend his leadership style. It allowed us to have very expansive discussions of nearly every piece of legislation that went through that committee that the minority truly appreciated. However, there were some instances in which bills were not referred to the proper subcommittee, and we felt that if the majority was going to develop such a challenging committee structure for members to follow, let alone the public, we should at least, at the very least, try to hold the majority party accountable. And so this has been a good debate, an entertaining debate at times. The bill itself, of course, is not the concern or the issue. But members, I implore us as a body to follow the rules of the House and follow the committee structure, no matter how challenging and convoluted it may be, that the majority party has laid out for us. Otherwise, things get missed, and we need to refer bills back to committees that have been skipped in this process. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hertas.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for that, Representative Zerwas. Just to further that comment or discussion about the committees and the committee structures, Madam Speaker, I was just looking and noticed the posting here for Monday. I haven't decided yet which part of me is going to be in 3 different places at the same time. But nonetheless, that's just kind of the scheduling chaos that is at this time of the session. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any further discussion to the bill? The member from Dakota, Representative Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make one point very clear. We are all able to request a bill to be heard in a committee. And so I think if there's a bill that's really important to you, please talk to the chair and ask that the committee hear that bill. Thank you.
Seeing the member from Wabasha, Representative Driscowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Would Representative Nelson yield?
He will. Which one?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Nelson M.
He will yield. Representative Driscowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Nelson, I've reviewed the underlying statute. Members, the bill, all it does and all it includes in the language of the bill is the sunset date. And you see that it's simply striking the date and inserting a date 5 years later down the road. What often happens, members, and one of my frustrations with the permanent rules we have here is that members of each caucus go to caucus, you review the bill, and you end up saying, well, this is a good bill, it sunsets at 5 years from now, and everybody vote for the bill. What happens, members, is we as a body get lazy when that happens. And the power that is accumulated in that is in the lobbyists and in the leadership of the caucuses, but not in our ability as a body and members to actually go in and be deliberate, because without these rules in place, we had to be deliberate in going through and reading not only the bill, but the underlying statute that they directly affect. And members, and this is actually a question, thank you, Madam Speaker, for Representative Nelson. Representative Nelson, as I read the underlying statute, I have what appear to be some concerns, and maybe you can alleviate those for me. But it appears that what we have given here, and possibly the reason for the sunset, is because we give some autonomy to Hennepin County in this case to be able to put together a list of, I think they call it qualified contractors, and I believe the county is actually given the ability, as I read the statute, to develop the qualification guidelines or the criteria upon which these contractors could qualify to be on the list. So there's a list, and it actually says that the county may establish a reasonable limit on the number of contracts, on the number of contractors in the registry. So we also give the county the ability to limit the number of qualified businesses that can be in this list, and we also give them the ability to develop the criteria for which these contractors are reviewed, and we give them some other limits in the statute. So Representative Nelson, what I would ask is, what if I am a contractor and the county has their list and they have decided that they have enough on their list? What happens to me as a contractor? Do I just get kicked to the pavement, or what happens?
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Driscowski. The county has developed this list, and this is a bill that Representative Cindy Pugh passed back in 2016, and so I'm not sure why there's such consternation now about it. But as I said, originally the bill I had was to eliminate the sunset date because the program has worked out. The county has used this as a way to get small contractors, get them up to speed, get them work with the counties, and so that they can build their businesses. And they don't have an exclusive list. They have a list of criteria to get people to come in and meet this criteria, so they make sure that the people can do the jobs that they're being hired for. And then they could use this list for small projects, again, so they can get small contractors, new contractors, to be able to learn how to do business with the county. Because sometimes working with government entities as a contractor is difficult. Getting to know the payment schedules, getting to know all the fun stuff that they have to go through, that's maybe different from working for a private entity. So Madam Chair and Representative Driscowski, nobody would be, my understanding is nobody's going to be excluded from this list if they come forward and they meet the criteria the county has set up. And they have a long list of contractors. Like I said, they're veteran-owned contractors, they're women-owned contractors, they're disadvantaged and minority-owned contractors. And that's what this is for, is to try and get some of these small contractors, people that normally don't get this work, normally would go to large contractors that we have that have staffs that can do this bidding, get these contractors a chance to build their businesses up and become part of the economy and grow the economy. And that's what this bill does, and that's what this section of law does. It allows them, like I said, these are small contracts under $250,000 that they allow them to bid them out through this process so that we can build a contractor base of businesses out there.
Representative Driscowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Nelson. I don't know that my question was answered. Again, I'm reading the statute here, and it says that the county may establish a reasonable limit to the number of contractors. It's right in law. This is the law that we want to extend the sunset for. So if I am a contractor, how am I certain that I have the ability to get into the list? If the author would yield, Madam Speaker.
He will yield.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So Representative Nelson, how many contractors are currently on the list in Hennepin County?
Representative Nelson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And let me count the list I have here that I got from the county. There's about 50 contractors on this list.
Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Representative Nelson. And I appreciate that answer, and you did directly answer my question there, Representative Nelson, so thank you. But the previous question still hasn't been answered. What happens if the county sets the limit? Because it says they can set a reasonable limit. We don't even know what that limit is that they've set. We've obviously given them, I think, too much autonomy in this particular law. But certainly concerned members, thank you for your indulgence, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Representative Nelson. Members, this member will be voting no. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. Members, please vote. The clerk will close the roll. There being 120 ayes and 10 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. The next bill on the calendar for the day is House File 554. The clerk will report the bill.
House File 554, number 4 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to human services, the first engrossment.
I recognize the author, the member from Ramsey, Representative Moran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, House File 554 will allow parents who had previously had their parental rights terminated for non-egregious harm to directly seek reestablishment of their rights from the courts. Currently, only the county attorney is able to make this petition. Members, I hope that we all share the value that families belong together and believe that children are to be protected, loved, and nurtured. This bill will allow a parent, if a court determines it is in the child's best interest and the parent has their life back on track, to reestablish their parental rights. These petitions will only be allowed in cases in which the rights were terminated for non-egregious harm, such as chemical dependency or mental illness, not for any physical, sexual, or psychological abuse. Studies have shown that when children, especially children of color, who remain in foster systems, they face poorer life outcomes than those who remain with their biological families. These include lower lifetime employment rates, a greater chance of experience with the criminal justice system, and higher rates of mental illness and addiction. The legislation requires the parents to clearly demonstrate the steps that they've taken to address the underlying issue which led to the termination of rights in the first place, and a judge will make the final decision. Under the current law, whereby the county attorneys can make a petition, the child must have been in foster care after the determination of parental rights for 36 months. This bill increases this to 48 months. The bill also removes the current minimum requirement of 15 years. Members, I believe that this bill is about fairness. It's about redemption. And it's about giving children a bright future outside of the child protection system, which we know often leads to the criminal justice system. So members, that is what this bill does, and I ask for your support.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Moran moves to amend House File Number 554, the first engrossment as follows. The amendment is coded DE1.
Representative Moran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The amendment represents an agreement with the County Attorneys Association. So the amendment does the following. It deletes Section 1 of the bill, which is the part about the expungement of crimes. It continues to allow county attorneys to petition for the reestablishment of parental rights, and it provides notice to the parents. A parent or petitioner must wait 48 months from termination of parental rights of petition. A parent or petitioner who wishes to petition for reestablishment of parental rights must notify the responsible county attorney and social service agencies within 45 days of filing the petition. And finally, the amendment states that a petitioner who is unsuccessful in convincing the courts to reestablish their parental rights must ask the court to provide the length of time period for a parent to provide a subsequent petition. A petitioner who can't afford the filing fee can ask the court to waive the filing fee. And again, the amendment reflects the agreement between the parties. And I believe the proposal before the body seeks to provide an opportunity for families to be reunited. Thank you.
The member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, members. And Representative Moran, this is a great bill. I actually think that you gave a little bit more voice to the county attorneys than I would have, because frankly, I think they were being a little bit more heavy-handed than they needed to be. Members, this is not just a bill. This is a way forward for many kids. As you may have heard on the House floor, and you've heard many, many times, the strongest bond is between the parent and that child, and no matter what happens to that child, they always want to be reunited. And in the Native American, the ICWA, they actually have a standard that they never terminate parental rights. And I think that going to that and knowing that that is an ability, that there's always a possibility for reunification, is a very strong incentive to try to help these people. And remember, these families many times are just one day away from a really bad situation. Something happened that turned everything south, and they spiraled out of control. And it's getting those parents back on track and getting them the ability to know that they can reunite that family. And more importantly, giving the children the optimism to know that they can work towards reunification to get their life back on track, and to know, frankly, that mom or dad is getting help and getting things back together. That is so powerful. And so, Representative Moran, thank you. This is a great bill, and I hope that that board is all green.
Any further discussion to the amendment? All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say nay. The motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Further discussion to the bill? Seeing none, the clerk will take... Oh, there are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File Number 554, as amended.
Third reading. The clerk will take the roll on the bill.
Yep. That's good news.
The clerk will close the roll. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to. Motions and resolutions. There are copies of the non-controversial motions at the House desk and online. If there is no objection, we will take action on these motions first. Hearing no objection, the motions prevail.
Eklund moves that House File number 1386 be returned to its author.
The member from Kuchiching, Representative Eklund, to your motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's my motion.
Any discussion to the motion? The member from Anoka, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. What is this bill about, please? Thank you. If the author would yield.
Representative Eklund.
Representative Scott, it's about vintage snowmobiles.
Representative? All those? Are you sure you want to? Okay. There's up, down, up, down. The member from Roseau, Representative Fabian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Representative Eklund, thank you for this. I encourage a green vote.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails. Announcements. Representative Lewick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just want to remind members that Tuesday night next week, we've got the Ranger Party, 8 o'clock from 6 to 8:30 at Mancini's. And I know Representative Eklund's got tickets down at his area, and I've got tickets up at 311. And just want to make sure you understand, you can get them now for $20 a piece at the door. They're $10 extra. So it'd be good to plan ahead. And the second part of that is, along with a great dinner, the beverages are complimentary, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. So if you're bogged down standing in line waiting to get in there, the folks that thought ahead and bought the ticket early, they're in there probably drinking beer and wine and having a good time. So let's not have to work too hard for the staff, the folks that are working on this, and buy your ticket ahead of time. Thank you.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Mariani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members, and I can't wait for the Ranger Party. Members, the Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform will re-adjourn at 5:15 in room 5 of the State Office Building.
The member from Dakota, Representative Garofalo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. And normally, this would not be a normal announcement a member would make, but recently a book was published that came out, and this is more for the members of the body and those in public who are watching. A book was published with the name The Billionaire Boondoggle, How Our Politicians Let Corporations and Bigwigs Steal Our Money and Jobs. The reason why I make this announcement is because the author of this book has a very unique name. His name is Pat Garofalo. Now, Madam Speaker and members, I just want to clear up. The author of this book is not this Pat Garofalo that you know. The other Pat Garofalo, as a former MSNBC contributor, a columnist for former Newsweek magazine, an author of many progressive causes. Again, that's not me. So stop. If you could just stop emailing me and tweeting me, saying good or bad things about the book. I haven't read it. I don't care. The most interesting thing about it is there's a pair of craps dice on the cover of the book, which tells me I might like it. But it's not me. It's the other Pat Garofalo. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate that opportunity.
Any other member announcements? Representative Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make an announcement that there will be a subcommittee on Wednesday, April 10th of the Local Government Committee. So if anybody has a bill that they want heard, would they please contact somebody from the committee before then? Thank you.
Member from Hennepin, Representative Bonner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I just want to say I'm not sure if they were able to stay yet, but I wanted to say a quick shout out to the members of the Girl Up organization from Maple Grove who came down to visit us here today. And it is my certain hope that someday some of those ladies will be future leaders and will join us here on the floor. Thanks for them for being here today.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Mariani.
Madam Speaker, I'm embarrassed. I was so excited about the Ranger Party that I made up a word instead of reconvening, I said we were going to re-adjourn. The Committee on Public Safety, Criminal Justice Reform will reconvene at 5:15 in room 5 of the State Office Building.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Mahoney.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and the members of the Jobs and Economic Development Committee will meet a half hour after session is over. And I'm checking on the room right now to be sure, but I think it's room 10.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hornstein.
I thought we were, Madam Speaker, I thought we were meeting in room 10, the Transportation Committee. 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
Any further announcements? The member from Olmsted, Representative Liebling.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. DFL members of the HHS Finance Committee, we will be reconvening to caucus. Watch your email for room and time.
Representative Mahoney.
To the members of the Jobs Committee, watch your emails for the room, not the time. We'll be meeting in a half an hour.
Any other chairs from Ramsey County want a second bite at the apple? The member from Isanti, Representative Dowd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If the Majority Leader would yield for a question.
He will yield. Representative Dowd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Majority Leader. I think we're anticipating that these omnibus bills that are being put together now will likely come to the floor the week after our break. If you could confirm that, I guess. But more importantly, many of these bills have very large spending increases. We're starting to see that. Those spending increases are going to need tax increases. Obviously, I think those tax bills, revenue-raising bills, will come to the floor before the spending bills, so we know that we actually have the revenue to spend. But I just want to have you confirm if that's the case.
The member from Hennepin, Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, Representative Dowd, you are correct that the bills will be coming the week after our legislative break. We have a May 1st deadline to pass all of the omnibus bills in agreement with the Senate. The timing is correct. As for whether the tax bill comes first or the HHS bill, which has another revenue issue in it, or the transportation bill, all of these things work together as a package. And as you know, our targets all depend on a certain set of revenue assumptions. So we can't pass bills according to any of the budget targets without living up to those targets. And it doesn't really matter which order those bills come from. They all have to balance, and they will.
Representative Dowd.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate your commentary. I couldn't agree more that they are kind of a package, but the package kind of falls apart if you don't have the revenue. So it might be nice for us to find out if folks really want to tax Minnesotans to that level, because if that doesn't have the support here in the chamber, there's not much sense in passing the spending increases. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn until 12 noon, Friday, April 5th, 2019.
Representative Winkler moves that when the House adjourns today, it adjourn until 12 noon, Friday, April 5th, 2019. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Representative Winkler.
Madam Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.
Representative Winkler moves that the House do now adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails, and the House stands adjourned until 12 noon, Friday, April 5th, 2019.